Hello my dear friends, myself Dhanya Divakar. Once again a warm welcome to my channel Shades of Literature. Also a big thanks to all out there for subscribing my channel and also for leaving your valuable comments. So before going into the routine lecture, let me just ask you a question. What is this nature? Okay, the answer is very simple. Every beautiful thing, whatever you see around you, is a part of nature. Is it so? Just think about it. And now can you define what nature is? Nature is nothing but a natural, physical or a material world or universe. Okay, now what role does a human being or a man play in nature? Man has always been in awe of nature. Who wouldn't like to sense the smell of fresh rains and the very earthy smell after the fresh rains? The chirping of birds, the clouds, mountains, rivers, streams, rainbows and what not. Everything has beauty in its own way. Okay, all these things incorporate our nature. And we also know that lots of writers and poets have got inspiration to write or create beautiful pieces of literature just from nature. So nature has been an inspiration for writers as well. We have learned various literary pieces of Wordsworth, Keats, Shelley, etc., which is still now being taught in universities and colleges. We just can't forget all those masterpieces. Yes, so nature is very much important. And now the question is that, are we protecting our nature? Just give a thought about it. Are we really protecting? The answer is also very simple. We are not. Rather, it's a very negative answer or a very sad answer that we are not protecting our nature. We know what we are doing. We are just spoiling it by every means whichever we can. We throw garbages, people spit on the roads, people don't care for a single drop of water, we waste food, we just plunder everything what nature has given us. So we are destroying our nature and we get it back. How? We get it back through haphazard climatic conditions, global warming, what not. We are really suffering just because of natural calamities. In earlier days, we never used to have such absurd kind of climatic conditions and such natural calamities. But now natural calamities have become so common. It's all just being reciprocated back into us by nature. What we are giving, it's just being given back to us. So now it's time for us to change all this. How can we change this situation? We just can't go and educate the present generation, or we just can't give them great jnana regarding, okay, you have to change. They will not. People already are in a peculiar kind of mindset. Those people who travel in metros, in metro railway stations in Delhi, they know that they're not supposed to spit on the railway station. They are not supposed to throw garbage on the platforms. Everything they know, and they behave likewise also. But the same bunch of people, when they get into the local railway stations, they do adversely. They just spit out, they just throw garbages, they just do all nuisance whichever they can. It's not about that we just don't know. We know everything, but we take everything for granted. So it's high time for us to change. Just educate our children. We have to inculcate certain values to our children. And how can we educate our children? We just have to give them or tell them the importance of nature. We have to educate them as to how to not to waste water. Educate them about cleanliness, about hygiene, about how to stop cutting trees. Just educate them about how to not throw garbage on roads and in public places, about how not to spoil public infrastructure. So all these things we can do. You'll be wondering, why am I giving a great lecture on a topic which doesn't fall into literature? Here comes the importance of today's topic, and the topic is eco-criticism. So today's lecture will be on eco-criticism. Eco-criticism is a very important part of studies for all those aspirants who are preparing for UGC NET. This is a most important topic because it's just there very much now. It's a very new, brand new topic which is being focused by various literary figures. So the importance is immense. Today I'll be focusing on few points, such as I'll be just giving you an introduction to what eco-criticism is. I'll be just giving you few definitions by famous eco-critics, then eco-criticism as a literary theory. So these are the few things which I would like to focus in today's lecture. Now coming back, what is eco-criticism? The term was first used by William Rueckheart in an essay titled Literature and Ecology, an experiment in eco-criticism in 1978. Eco-criticism gained its popularity in United States of America in late 1980s and in UK in early 1990s. The UK version of eco-criticism is known as Green Studies, and the most prominent figure there is Jonathan Bate. There is an association also, and there is an association in America, United States of America, and the name of the association is ASLE. The main aim of the association is to inspire those eco-critics or those people who wants to publish their works regarding eco-critical literary narratives and other things or other narratives based on nature and environmental issues. The name of the association is ASLE, Association for the Study of Literature and Environment. They have a publication also. The name of the publication is Interdisciplinary Studies for Literature and Environment. So this is just an introduction to eco-criticism, what eco-criticism is. Okay, now coming back, what do you mean by the very term eco-criticism? Just have a thought about it. Eco-criticism is a term which tries to observe and study the relationship between literature and Earth's environment. Moreover, it's an interdisciplinary approach which tries to analyze and interpret the literary narratives of famous writers, poets, scholars, etc. based on the content of nature, literature and environment. So you have to keep in your mind that nature is there as a dominant factor. Eco-critics are very much interested in nature and environment. So that point should always be there in your mind, and they would like to incorporate nature with literature. It's just a comparison with nature and literature, and that's how they bring forth this theory. Again, the term eco-criticism is known in different terminologies, such as eco-poetics, green studies, etc. Now coming to the definitions of eco-criticism. The most popular definition is given by Cheryl Glotfelty. She has defined eco-criticism as a study of the relationship between literature and the physical environment. Yet another definition has also given by another eco-critic, and his name is Lawrence Buell. Lawrence Buell has defined eco-criticism as a study of the relationship between literature and environment conducted in a spirit of commitment in environmental praxis. So these are the two definitions which I would like to give you. Coming to the next point, eco-criticism as a literary theory. We all know that eco-critics, for them, nature plays a dominant role. They also believe that the evolution of a society is largely dependent on natural forces. Why do they believe in that manner? They firmly believe that the world we live in is not made up just by the social elements and language. Rather, lots of natural forces also adds on into the development of a world. This is what eco-critics believe, and therefore eco-critics has this belief in their mind that world or the nature which they see around them is most important rather than any other social elements. This is the popular belief of eco-critics. Now the next question could be, what can an eco-critic look for in a literary text? The eco-critic tries to apply the theories of criticism and ecology in a literary narrative. The eco-critic also tries to find out the environmental issues voiced by famous writers and scholars in their literary narratives. They also foregrounds the importance of nature and environment in literary narratives. They are also interested, the eco-critics, they are also interested in rereading a literary narrative in an eco-critical perspective. Moreover, they are interested in travel writing, memoirs, etc. So, eco-critics, they just look for all these factors in a literary narrative. To sum up, they are interested in environmental issues and nature, and wherever they could find such issues being projected in literary narratives, they try to dissect it, and they try to find out a relationship between literature and environment. So this is all about what eco-criticism is. This is just an introduction. It's a huge, vast area. There are lots of information. I'll be giving you more information regarding eco-criticism in my next lecture. This is just a stepping stone into the very theory that is eco-criticism. If you really like my lectures, kindly do subscribe my channel. Also leave your valuable comments. Your comments are a great motivation and inspiration for me to do better. So please do comment in my comment box. I'll be looking forward for that. Also please don't forget to click on the bell button so that you get notified every time whenever I put up a new video. So that's all for today. I'll be coming up with a new topic related to eco-criticism. I'll be doing tropes of eco-criticism in my next lecture. Until then, take care, stay safe, bye-bye.